it just bothers me a little bit. I'm sorry. It's just me, my sensitive little ass. Okay? Hello, I am back for more bookish things to discuss. Today I will be talking about the books that I have read recently. And by recently I meant the past February and March. I decided to make just a video, a normal casual video, despite that everything around the world is not casual or normal or any of the sort. But let's just say my sort of escape from everything is this video that I'll be presenting to you today. I have read 8 books this past 2 months, which is still equivalent to a book a week. So yeah, I have 1 adult thriller suspense fiction. I have 1 historical fiction, 3 young adult contemporaries, and 1 middle grade fantasy, 1 non-fiction memoir, I think, and 1 poetry collection. I'm not gonna make this introduction any longer. Let's get right to it. So the first one I'll talk about is The Last Lecture by Randy Pouch. I have no idea how to pronounce his last name, okay? Sorry. So this is about a memoir by the person himself, Randy, who uses his last months of his life to write this book because he has cancer. He has a family, he has like 3 kids, and he wanted to leave this book so that he leaves like a mark of his life with his family, his students, his colleagues, and so forth. The lecture, literally the last lecture, he gave that lecture to one of the universities that he used to be employed in. And what he tries to say in his lecture is that you have all the power to make your childhood dreams come true. Because the points in our lives when we are growing up, we tend to remember our childhood dreams and we would say, my God, we were crazy to think of that we would ever really reach that kind of achievement. But he tries to tell you that those childhood dreams are very important to keep yourself aiming at the highest of the highest of the highest that you think you can, and that you are capable of doing that. And I adored the way he actually made that very significant. He thoroughly explained that his many childhood dreams have simply came true because he never gave up on them. Doesn't matter how crazy they may sound or how impossible they may sound. The reason why I only gave this book 3 stars was, for one thing, there were a few things that I did not thoroughly agree to what he did for his students. That's just my personal point of view, personal beliefs, personal. And another reason is maybe the way he is quite patronizing in regards to a few things. So I still appreciate it a lot. I mean, he wrote this while he was like dying to his grave. I mean, how strong your mentality must be in order to create this. If I didn't have these personal boundaries, then I would give it like 4 stars, you know. The next book is Whiskey, Words, and a Shovel by R.H. Sin. It is a poetry collection, and this is book 1 of a trilogy. And it's about a very unhealthy relationships, women empowerment, seeking self-worth. It is difficult to critique poetry because nowadays in modern poetry, people would adore it, admire it, majorly because they find a kind of relatability between the words. And that is not wrong, you know. but it is clouding the judgment of real poetry in regards to its quality, how it has been written, or how significant does it really speak to a large amount of people in the society and everything. Yes. Though I am quite a fan a bit of R.H. Sin's poetry because he writes very different. Some of his poems really which are not about like relationships, or which are not about like trying to explain what is best for women. The other poems that he writes about, most of all about self-worth, those are the ones that hit different for me. The problems that I have also seen from other people in regards to his poetry, and also from this book as well, anyway, is that it's very hyper masculine, patronizing, and he keeps explaining what's best for women on his point of view, which I have also troubles with very much. So, and again, the ones that I did appreciate from this poetry collection was the poems which are indefinite of gender, age, or status, because they only talked about self-worth. So I haven't given this book a rating at all. The next book I read was The Lightning Thief by Rick Riordan. If you don't know what this is, then my goodness, where have you been? Well, where have I been? Because this is the only time I've ever read it in my entire life. So, joke's on me. Yeah, this is about a boy who discovers that he is the son of one of the Greek gods that ever existed. And then he embarks on all these journeys, and we follow him to those journeys. I love this. Shook. I read this book in such a swift amount of time. I just, I couldn't put it down. I could not put it down, okay? It is true. All the hype is just true, okay? Do I have to explain really what I loved about this? Okay, if there's one thing that I really had to adore super much was how easy it is to understand. Because fantasy for me is quite a bulldozer in my face. So this one, even though I know it's middle grade, obviously, but still, it's just great, okay? Why do I really have to explain? No, I do not have to explain. I just loved how it was. It was really action-packed. I was not bored, not 1 second. If people keep saying that, oh, too overhyped, and stuff like that, yeah, I understand. This is not overhyped, okay? This is just chef's kiss. Everywhere, chef's kiss, okay? Yeah. Thing is, this is not info dumpy. It is not overpowering regards to names, characters, or of the overwhelmment of circumstances that are happening throughout the story. No, it is not. It is just chef's kiss, okay? If you didn't know, I gave this book 5 stars, okay? Thanks. The next book that I read was The Places I've Cried in Public by Holly Bourne. This is a book about a girl who goes to a new town and to a new school, and then she meets this boy and things happen and we don't understand what is happening. And the story is told from the present time and continuous flashbacks, and back to the present, flashback, back to the present, flashback. And every time we go back to the present, we keep getting these questions from our minds like, what the heck is happening? Because you just can't imagine what are the reasons behind all the things she's saying. Until now, I'm just so speechless about this book. The way it's written is incredibly brilliant, fascinating, engaging, and heart-wrenchingly painful. Because all the words that Holly Bourne has written in this book just hits you right on the most vulnerable places in your heart, because she just knows how to kick your feelings into dirt. This book is a very important book I think that everyone should try to read, because I have learned a lot of things actually, most of all in regards to relationships, healthy, unhealthy relationships. I started to understand how every woman, even men, should really be careful in regards to the people that they choose to love. This book really tells you too that you should really just trust yourself, because if you're not gonna trust yourself, you are just going to be in this wormhole of destruction. I guess sometimes it was even a point where I had to stop reading and think that how incredibly hard must it have been for the author to thoroughly think this story out and type those words. How do you do that? Yes, okay. I gave this book 5 stars. Yeah. The next book I read was Every Last Word by Tamara Islandstone. This is basically a reread from me because I wanted to reread my all-time favorite book. This book is about a girl who is a misfit in her group of popular friends, and she discovers the solace of poetry and true friendship. My second reread, I discovered new things that I haven't glazed over the first time I read, because I was just overwhelmed over how accurate this book was describing my life back then. But now that I'm in a different position in my life, what I've taken out of the story again was that you just have to be you. You have the power to be brave. Not because somebody told you to, not because you have to, but because you can. And yeah, I know that can sound like pretty cliche, but what's new to this channel anyway? The next book is Radio Silence by Alice Oseman. This book follows a girl who is one of the smartest students at their school, and she devotes the majority of her time to study, and so in order to get to her dream school, which is Cambridge. And so she also befriends a guy named Aled, who is the creator of one of her favorite podcasts. Throughout this friendship between them, they discover all kinds of life-changing realizations that will impact greatly to their lives, college, and careers. This is I can consider this book to be the second favorite book I've ever read. Every student like me would adore with so much praise, because it reflects you incredibly much. And the way it's written is humorous, is empathetic, and the plot is thoroughly well written. You know, it's not slow paced at all, because every single scene that the main character experiences is a very important part of what will be the outcome of who she will be or what she will do in the end of the book. Another thing also, this book really does give the message to every student or worker even, that you are a person who is very determined in regards to something that they want to become when they grow up, or want to become sooner or later. And sometimes this determination can cloud whatever you want to do. It's like this dream you have is something that you've been reaching constantly, while the things that your heart really wants and that really fit you are right next to you, but you don't know that they are. If you haven't noticed, I gave this book also 5 stars. So the next book that I read was The Third Target by Joel C. Rosenberg. And, well, you kind of get my feelings already for this book since I made a whole 1 week reading vlog to praise this, because it's just fantastic, okay? It is utterly genius, if I have to mention it again. We follow a journalist who uncovers that ISIS has weapons of mass destruction, and he does all his power to present the truth. Many politicians try to stop him for whatever he tries to do, for just showing the truth to all millions of people across the globe. Basically, we really follow him, almost get killed so many times, just constantly. So some final thoughts on The Third Target. The writing flows so easily that it builds a very comforting kind of suspense. The readers don't tend to become confused by all the information that goes within the story flow, because there's a lot of information. There's also a specific page before the story starts, which are the main characters or the characters that you will encounter throughout the story, so that you don't confuse yourself with everybody. I'm very grateful that this is also not so info dumpy. And the pacing for me was perfect. Perfect pacing. Everything that also happens in the plot is very important to just stay engaged with it, because with a blink of an eye, something just happens without you knowing. I mean, And I'm not good in discovering the foreshadows, the hints that the author would maybe lie in the text. I don't know. I just get very surprised whenever time something happens. And I'm not complaining. I mean, that's a first class reading experience, you know. And personally, I have learned quite a bunch of things from this. Most of all in regards to politics, terrorism, reality, when it comes to the public and the truth and your safety. Yeah, I gave this book 5 stars completely. And last but not the least, The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak. Whew! To be honest, I'm going to make a separate video just discussing this book, because I need to talk about it in a lengthy period of time, because this book broke me. It's still in my head until now. And how many days ago did I read this? 4 days ago? I don't remember. This one took me 4 times to read this. Only now I got to finish it, and I cannot just my feelings are actually dead because of this. Like, absolutely. Okay, brief summary before I can't describe this book properly. How can I describe this book, which is a book narrated by Death himself? Yes, it's a I just read this short back summary. It is 1939, Nazi Germany. The country is holding its breath. Death has never been busier, and will become busier still. So, you know, it's about the war, World War II to be precise. And we follow this girl who gets adopted, and she gets a foster family. The reason why it took me 4 times to read this book was because of the writing style. I was so new to it, and I was kind of struggling to understand really what Death was trying to tell me. But as you get used to it, just pushing yourself to read on, I started loving it incredibly much. Now that I'm reading another book, well, trying to read another book, because this one still is dominating my brain, I start to miss this writing style very much, and I just need to talk about it, okay? I won't give you much details. I loved it, okay? But I love it and I hate it at the same time, okay? You gotta understand. If you haven't noticed yet, I gave this 5 stars, okay? 5 freaking stars. Why did it have to do this to me? so much time. So yeah, I have read 8 books within 2 months, and those that I've given 5 stars really have created an impact on me. And I'm so very thankful that they exist. I hope you also had an incredible reading month. So stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video.